confirm my screen is visible.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you
So,
see that VM upgrade is successfully done, and the size of the virtual machine is changed to D2SV3, which is our required size. Okay. So once it is updated in the notification tab, but you will not see the changes for some times. It will take 2 to 3 minutes of time to reflect the current size of the VM here. Okay, you have to wait for some times or just refresh the entire page, so the resize will be changed here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start the VM. Okay, so we selected D2S V3 version. So as I said, D2S V3 means we will have temporary disk. D2S V3 16 GB of temporary storage. So what Azure will do, this is VM. What Azure will do when we choose V3 version, uh, D2S V3 version, from the Azure backend, they will allocate one disk to this VM for temporary purpose. This is just assume that this is disk 16 GB. Based on the requirement, they will allocate some amount of disk from Azure side to the VM, and this disk would be unmanaged disk. Not managed, it's unmanaged disk, which means it's a temporary purpose. Okay, inside the OS also the disk name would be temp disk. You can store some temporary data, but that is not a permanent one. Suppose if you do reboot of this entire VM, there will be a chance to delete the temporary disk and you will get fresh disk allocated. uh, One more example, just assume that this is the storage from Azure side. Okay, Azure storage. So how they will generally allocating the storage to our virtual machine. For example, these storages are already allocated to storage for VMs for different purpose. These are all managed disk. Whatever I highlighted, these are managed disk. Okay, so you can see some of the disk spaces are available. This they cannot use it as managed disk. Okay, this is unmanaged spaces. Okay, so when you deploy the virtual machine and you will get one temporary disk space, right? So that will be allocated from this unmanaged space from Microsoft Azure side automatically. Okay, so each and every VM, I mean, if you choose V3 version, then you will have temporary disks. Got it? Fine. Now another thing that I will explain you, what is IOPS and what is throughput. Just try to understand about IOPS and throughput. It's very simple, and they, in your interview they may expect this, what is IOPS and what is throughput. Based on that, the sizes are classified: D2, D4, DS, D8, D16. Okay, so if you choose D2 versions, the IOPS will be minimal, and if you go for higher versions, the IOPS will be increasing, depends on your VM size. So IOPS means input output per second, which means uh, the data. So just assume that this is the disk drive. Okay, just assume that this is the disk drive. The data, whatever the data means, the data are coming from application and various sources. Okay, so the data going to write in our disk. So read and write operations per second. that is IOPS per second. How much time the data is going to read and write in the disk, that is called input output per second. Input means data going to set, output means data going to write and give the result. So just try to understand, read and write per second, that is IOPS. Okay, then what is throughput? So throughput means in the same disk, the data going to store in the disk and the speed of the transition, 10 mbps speed or 100 mbps speed. You might be seeing while downloading videos from you from Google, 10 mbps or 2 mbps or kbps speed. Okay, so that is called throughput. Within a second, how much data going to store, I mean what I mean per second, um, what is the transaction speed? Okay, so IOPS means it's a read and write operation. Throughput means that transition, data transition per second. Okay, based on that only they have designed the virtual machine and their sizes. Fine, just make a note of these things. Okay, now you see the virtual machine is upgraded successfully and we have powered off the virtual machine successfully. Let me quickly take RDP of this machine and I'll show the temporary disk structure inside the VM. So guys, any doubt? Have to raise the voice. We are whatever the topics yesterday and today we discussing. It's all related to our day-to-day activities in project. So you have to keep this information in handy, and this is very helpful to crack the interview. This is what they expect. Okay, they will not expect what is what in Azure. They will expect how to do resize, how to categorize the virtual machine sizes. So these are our day-to-day questions as well. So that's why I'm going to very slowly. I'm not going very fast to cover the topics. I know still so many topics to be covered, but that is fine. Everyone needs to understand properly. So in the portal level, we have seen the size of virtual machine, right? At the same time, how we can check the size of virtual machine inside OS? Just go to VM, let the VM start. Okay, it started now. And in the taskbar, this is the VM taskbar. So let's wait for a couple of seconds. Let it complete. Just right click on the taskbar here and you can see the task manager. So just go to task manager, expand it. Here you will see there's some list of options. First one is process, performance, users and services. Now go to performance and here you can see the actual size of virtual machine. You see here the virtual processor is 2 and you see the memory, it is 8 GB of memory. Okay, so here you can identify, you see here maximum size is 8 GB and the CPU processors are 2 virtual CPUs. Okay, so this is how we need to check, and this is the processor speed, Intel Xenon Platinum 2.6 GHz speed. I have the link I will share whenever you have time, just to read the speed, the Intel speed and the core processor speed. Okay, so fine. Now I'll just go on. So we'll see about the disk what is created extra. I said right, temporary disk. Just go to my PC and here you see the two disks are there. One is Windows, one is OS disk, another one is data. Another one is temporary data disk or temporary storage. Okay, the maximum size is 16 GB, and this will collect the logs and other stuff inside the operating systems. You can store anything, any data, but there is no guarantee for this data retain. Okay, and this temporary storage, you can use it for page file purpose and fine. And in the portal level, go to VM, go to disks. Here you will not see the temporary disk attached. You can see only one disk. That is the, surprise from Azure side. The temporary disk will not be visible in the list of the disks. It will show only the OS disk. That is what I explained in the diagram. It is unmanaged disk which is allocated from Azure backend, which will not be visible in our Azure portal, and we will be not supposed to handle this disk. We don't have any access to handle the temporary disk. Got it? So that's it about VM size types, VM resize, and okay, VM upgrade we have done. VM resize is same. So I'll just show one thing for VM downgrade again. Okay, so fine. Well, again I'll go back to VM home page overview. See, the size is D2S V3. Again I'm going back to the previous size, not the previous size. You can choose any size. Downgrade means it should be less than the current size. Okay, so I'm choosing D1S V3. Just a moment, guys. Okay, so I am just going back to my previous size, which means I'm going to downgrade. And you notice that this time I'm not going to shut down the power of this virtual machine, because I said, right, there are two ways to upgrade this size. One is with proper way is we have to power off the VM and we have to resize it. This is the second way. Without powering off, we can directly resize the machine. You see, this is the machine, this is the size I'm going to resize. So just click on that and click on resize, and you see, right, I have already taken RDP of this machine. So within few seconds the RDP will be disconnected. You see, it is going to shutdown state now, and the VM will be rebooted in the portal itself. The resize is on progress. So let's wait to complete. So that's it about downgrade. So we covered today VM resize types and upgrade, downgrade. So any doubt on this point? Guys, any doubt in this VM sizes?
Nora.
Okay, okay, fine, thank you. So next point that we are going to discuss about disk addition deletion. So what is disk addition deletion? In the sense, it's very simple. The VM is there having only OS disk. Okay, so the project requirement would come additional disk they wanted for their applications and for their storage purpose. So we cannot handle the load in only C drive, I mean only OS drive. So obviously we needed additional disk to store or to configure applications and do some activities. Okay, so in that case we need to add additional disks. I'll tell you, let it complete this one. So two activities that you need to do when you are adding the disks. Okay, so just assume that this is the VM, and by default it would be having os drive os drive or os disk, you can call it as any name. Okay, so same, this is Azure storages, and from here these are the like storages that they have kept like that. Very big kind of storages they would be having. Storage. See, the recess is still taking, and you might have noticed when we have resized the first time, we have powered off the VM. Then we have resized, which took minimum just 1 minute. But here in this method, second way, without powering off directly, we are resizing, right? It's taking longer than previous method. Okay, so the best approach is power off the VM and resize it from the portal. It is still taking the time late. Okay, so we need additional disk. Okay, that disk will be allocated from Azure storages. So the disk will be attached from Azure managed disk. The sizes that we can define, additional disk sizes like custom sizes only, 1 to 1 GB, 2 GB, 3 GB. So there is a maximum capacity of the disk. So single disk can have maximum capacity is 32 TB. Okay, so in interview they may ask what is the single disk capacity size. You can create one single disk up to 32 TB of single disk. Okay, one GB to up to 32 TB of disk that you can create it. At the same time, you can attach multiple disks to the VM up to 32 disks, separate individual disks. So 1, 2, up to 32 disks. Each disk can have 32 TB of size, but maximum capacity, overall disk capacity is 32 individual disks that you can configure in the VM. That too depends on the size. Okay, so if you are using D2 series, D2 SV3 series, you will be having 4 data disks can be attached. So like that, we have till 64, right? So the maximum capacity of the VM disk, additional disk would be 32 disk can be attached from Azure managed disks. Okay, whenever we create any disk, the disk space will be allocated from respective storages. Okay, and the how the physical storages would be in the backend, uh, just for your reference I am saying, this is the physical disk, storage disks, iSCSI disks and all. You might be heard about iSCSI storages, ICSI controller. So the storages structure would be like this in the physical. It's just like a DVD player, a DVD disc, you might be knowing, right? In the circle. So the space would be allocated like this only. Whatever, whenever we request, the space would be allocated from Azure side. This is the physical structure of storages. Just for simple understanding, I'm telling. Okay, fine. So now I'll go back to VM. What a surprise! Still the VM resizing is taking. So you understood the problem, right? Why it is taking this much time? You see the size is updated and the VM's status is still updating. The VM status is not showing us running or started or stopped. It is showing us updating. The desired size is still updating in the virtual machine. That is why the resizing is taking more time. So let's wait for a couple of minutes to complete. So any doubt in disk? Disk also very important one. This is also frequent task in project. You will be always getting the tasks, disk related tasks or tickets. First one, first one, disk new disk addition, uh, new uh, disk existing disk extension, which means expanding the disk space. That we'll see in next one. So after that, disk extension and add existing disk to virtual machines. You will be having one disk already. That disk is independent disk, you need to attach to the VM. That is add existing disk, adding existing disk to VM. And then disk deletion. Yeah. So these are the four type of request you will get frequently from client side. Okay. So what happened? This VM still it is taking time. So that is why this is not a recommended way to upgrade. Upgrade way is power on. Power of resize power on. That is the recommended way. So if you do directly resize from this option, then sometimes it will take more time. Come. Disk extension, deletion. Okay. So you understood about these 4 points, right? And here, new disk addition VM reboot is not required. This is also important. Adding the new disk VM reboot, I mean restart is not at all required. Disk existing disk is extension. Disk extension VM reboot is required. Reboot means you have to power off VM, resize the disk, I mean extend the disk, then power on. Adding existing disk to the VM, no reboot. Disk deletion, no reboot. What more is there? Disk detach, detach from VM is also no reboot. These are the key points, so make it note somewhere. Okay, this is really useful whenever you work on the task. Okay, so finally the VM is rebooted and you see the status of the VM agent is not ready. Yesterday we have discussed, right? The VM status agent status is not ready. So I will just go to boot diagnostics and see what is the status of the VM. Okay, so the status is, I guess it is updated or not updated. So if any issues comes, right, we will get a black screen here. I guess the VM is okay. The agent is cleared. Agent is running now. Earlier the agent were not ready, but within few seconds the agent got ready. So I will take RDP once again. Okay, and the size, desired size, what we have given, it changed to desired size. Okay, so now I'm going to add new disk to this VM. So go to disk options in the VM, and here you can see only OS disk. This is the disk OS disk name and storage type premium and size of the storage, size of the OS disk, and maximum IOPS and maximum throughput. This is what we discussed just now before. Maximum IOPS 500 IOPS per second, 100 Mbps speed per second, and encryption is by default PMK platform level encryption, and hosting is read write operations. Okay, so encryption in the sense, I guess I have repeated this point already, but still once again I will repeat it, where I can say, yeah, assume that this is VM, and this VM having disks, disk 1 2 3 like this. These are additional disks. OS disk, disk 1, D2, D3. Okay, so when we create a VM, by default the VM get encrypted by Microsoft. Okay, so make a note, by default the virtual machine encrypted by Microsoft, that is called PMK. Sorry, SSE plus PMK. So SSE means server side encryption with platform managed key. The VM get encrypted automatically by Microsoft, and the key of the encryption handling by Microsoft team only, not by us, MS team. Okay, in case for high level security, I don't want to Microsoft handle this platform key. I want to handle, I mean the project needs to handle this encryption means there is a different another key that is called SSE plus CMK. Same server side encryption plus customer means we are the customer to Microsoft, customer managed key. So key handling by IaaS team. IaaS means Azure Administrator team. We have to handle this encryption key. Just try to understand about this encryption. Okay, whatever disk you create, everything will be encrypted by Microsoft. So that is what you see here. The encryption is PMK. It's showing by default it comes with server side encryption with platform managed key, and the host caching. This host caching, we can make a change, read only or read write only. The host caching is nothing. uh, Whenever we get any data, there is a cache files, right? Obviously in our laptop also the cache files would be there. So that process, I mean that storing and retrieving process they have given. If we did not select none, there won't be any caching. If we give only read only, so we'll get only read only caching. If we have read rate, means we'll get read rate caching from physical server, backend Azure physical host machine. Okay, so you may get request for host changing also. Okay, in the project you sometimes you'll get, I need host changing from read write to read only, sometimes none. So here only you have to change it. Okay, so remember this option also. Fine. And here what else is settings is there. In the additional settings you will see the encryption things and all. So as of now there is no encryption is enabled. Encryption at host is not enabled. And Azure ADE encryption, there is one more encryption, that I will tell later. Okay, so as of now you just remember SSC PMK and CMK. Fine. So now I'm going to add the disk. So OS disk is here, that is a default disk. And new disk, you can see the data disk here, create and attach new disk. So just click here, you will get new disk added here. And you have to give LUN number. So LUN number you might be knowing, it's a logic unit number, uh, which means whatever disk we create, that disk will be allocated from Azure storages. So each and every storages in Azure, they have LUN number, LUN 0, LUN 1, LUN 2. So like that they have classified in their physical storages. So based on that we will get allocated new disk. So we can choose what kind of LUN is required, LUN number is required. By default the first disk allocate with LUN 0. And here I give us data disk 1. Disk name is correct. And the storage type, so premium, standard storage type, some list of storage types that are available. So premium SSD, standard SSD. So standard SSD, standard, premium SSD, ultra is there, but for free trial ultra they did not provide. Okay, for ultra SSD, we should have availability zone options and all. So as of now you can ignore that one. If you want, just make it a note. To enable ultra SSD of storage type, the VM must be part of availability zones, then only ultra options will be enabled. Okay, so as of now, just try to understand the types of disk. Standard, hard HDD, standard SSD, um, premium SSD. What more is there? Standard SSD, premium. One more. What is that? Standard SSD, premium. Okay, ultra SSD. Just remember this type as of now. Okay, fine. So I have selected uh, premium SSD. And the size, how much size I required for the virtual machine. You can allocate 1 GB, but the physical storage will not be supported. So the minimum size from 4 GB, because if we go less than that 3, there won't be any, they have designed that their managed disk in that format only. Okay, so minimum from 4 GB and maximum 32 TB. Okay, you can give 32767 something. Sketching is yeah. So 32, I mean 32,767 GB means 32 TB only. So if you not aware also no problem. You can give how much we can give. Okay, as of now I'm giving 10 GB of disk space. Okay, and for the 10 GB of disk space, Azure is offering 120 IOPS and 25 Mbps speed because this is very small amount of size, small amount of disk. Okay, and fine maximum throw. Okay, so host caching as of now I'm giving read only. I don't require a read and write. Okay, so I'll just click apply it. So make sure after give the data disk detail you have to give apply so that it will be added associated to our virtual machines. You see the status is showing updated virtual machine, updating virtual machine. Disk is created successfully. Okay, so both are updated now. And here see you can see the disk one is attached and the size is 10 GB. Just click on the disk. On top of the disk you will get the disk overview. Here you will see the disk features, disk overview options, and the disk size is 10 GB premium SSD class, and the disk is managed by this virtual machine. You see VM1 is the disk is attached to this virtual this VM machine. And there is one more important concept in the disk, that is performance tier. Based on the sizes the performance tier would be changed. So this is 10 GB, so the performance tier is P3. For the P3 they are offering 120 IOPS and 25 Mbps speed. Okay, so if you want to change, if you want to edit the disk size, go to configurations, sorry not configuration, go to size. Okay, as of now ignore it, this one we'll come to this one next. So, fine, so we have attached the disk, right? And now I'll just go to the VM inside and I have to check whether the disk is added or not. Okay, go to virtual machine. This is also one of the important that OS level, the disk we need to check. Okay, so generally nobody will tell about this one. As I said, these all our routine job in project, in Azure project. So that's why I'm slowly explaining in OS level also. You see, I have added the disk in portal level, Azure portal level. I have added new disk, but still here showing only two disks. I mean OS drive and this is temporary drive. But where is the new drive? Here it is not showing, right? It will not show whenever you add any disk. For that you need to add the disk manually inside disk management. Always whenever you add any disk you have to attach the disk from OS level. Portal level it is already attached, but in the OS level it will not reflect. You have to add the disk manually. So go to disk management. You type disk management, you will get a disk partition options. Okay, this is one way to open, or else just go to CMD. Here you type disk mgmt.ms is the shortcut. You will also, it will also open. Again in the run command also you can type disk mgmt.msc shortcut. Okay, fine. So here you see the disk 2. There is a new disk 2 is added to this virtual machine. Make sure whenever you add the disk in portal level, you will get this pop-up. You must get this pop-up, otherwise there is some misconfiguration happen in the Azure level. Okay, so understand, if you attach properly you will get this pop-up. Okay, so I am going to initialize the disk which is added newly. So just click on OK, and here after adding that you can see there is a new disk to 10 GB of spaces. The disk is added but it is showing as unallocated. Okay, so disk is showing unallocated means it is added to this VM but it is not allocated in the my PC. In the disk management it is not added, that's why there is a no disk now. So I am going to add this disk, and I am going to set one label of this disk. Label means disk name. So click next. I'm going to give the entire space and assign the letter of disk. What is the disk letter that you require? You can choose it: E drive, F drive, G drive, I drive, whatever. Okay, and then click on next. And here, the first time the disk will format and allocate to our VM. And VM label name, you can give any name here: data disk. This is a disk name in the OS level. So click on next and finish it. You see the status is showing as formatting, and now it's changed to disk is showing as healthy state. Now go back to my PC and see here the new disk has been attached, and we can able to do anything now. Fine. Okay. You see how the disks are attached, how the disk can be created in the portal level and can be attached inside the OS level. As an administrator, we should be aware of these two method only. Okay. And in the interview also, if they ask, you have to project in these two ways: adding from portal, extending from Windows machine level. Okay, so any doubt in disk addition? Hello guys, I'm making you all sleepy or bore.
No,
Is it
Ram.
boring?
Clear. No,
Okay,
Ram.
okay, okay. Why I'm going very slow? These are very important topics. Okay. As a fresher, see, you all, moving from one domain to another domain. So these are very key points. You have to project more in interview. That is why I'm slowly repeating these all the points. Okay. So disk addition is over now. You all clear about disk addition. Okay. And then disk deletion we'll see at the last. Okay. Attach existing disk. So in the category, uh, attach, third option, add existing disk to the VM, no reboot is required. Disk addition also, no reboot is required. So we did not reboot at the VM and we have added the disk. So now what I'm going to do, I need to add existing disk, which means you see here, add, attach existing disk. The disk is already there in Azure portal. I am going to attach the disk. The disk might be somebody created for some project purpose or something. You need to copy the data from some other disk to this VM. So in that case, you can create a independent disk and you can attach to the VM. Okay, what I'm going to do, so I'll just go to type disk. You will go, it will route to the disk category. Okay, and here you can see the list of disks. when you click on each disk, it will show where it is associated. So you see this is OS disk, and the disk is attached to VM1. And if you see the disk is 1, that is also managed by disk 1, sorry, VM1. So here I will create one new disk as an independent disk. You can see here, right, create a managed disk. So I'll just select the resource group and disk name something, data disk existing. Okay, and disk region same, availability zone none, source type. Okay, and just understand this also, this is the method to create new disk as independent. There is no dependency inside any VM. This is the individual disk creation. Okay, so source type, are we creating this disk from any other snapshot or any other images or disk? Nothing. This is the individual disk, so I'm just, source type is none, I'm keeping it. And size of the disk, so change the size. I don't want this much of 1 TB of size, so I'll just give 16 GB of disk. One more point that you understood here, the disk size start from 4 and multiple into 2, again 2 2, so like that. So 4 GB, 18 16 32 64 128 266 up to 3276 GB, which means 32 TB. Okay, and if you use below 16 GB of size, you will have performance is P1 performance, tire is P1, and 4 GB means P1, 8 GB means it's a P2 tire, 16 GB means it's a P3 tire, 32 P4, which means based on the sizes, the IOPS and throughputs are changed. Okay, that is the important one. And up to 32 GB, the performance IOPS are similar only. So that is why there is no difference between 4 to 32 GB. And 64 GB, the tire is P6, and the IOPS are increased to 40 and throughput is 50, slowly increasing. Okay, and you see the maximum is P80 is the maximum tire for 32 TB, and 20,000 of IOPS, 900 throughputs, and this is maximum share, you can ignore it. Fine. And there are two ways to create the disk. One is the suggested sizes which is given by Microsoft here only, 4 GB, 8 GB like that. But you need a custom size. See, for example, here it is showing as 16 GB, but I need only 10 GB, means how we can give it? We can give, when you come down, you can see the custom disk size. If you give 10, it will take 10 GB, it will allocate 10 GB, but the cost for 10 GB, whatever you create a disk, the cost is allocated, the cost is chargeable from 16 GB size only, because the 10 GB is in between 8 and 16 only. So what is the next size is 16 GB. So whatever cost is allocated for 16 GB, that cost is applicable for 10 GB also. So whenever any requirement customer asking for 10 GB new disk, you can say that you can go for 16 GB, because the cost is same for 16 GB as well as 10 GB. So like that you can suggest to customer, because customer does not aware of the cost and other stuffs and all. Okay, so we have to suggest them. If you suggest, they will agree, okay, then go for 16 GB, that's it. Otherwise, if you allocate the 10 GB also, the cost is whatever for 16 GB, same only chargeable, and that will be claimed from project. Okay, and performance types same, and the disk types. we seen, right, the types of disks. You see the standard SSD, standard HDD, standard SSD, premium SSD, and premium SSD V2 version. Maybe it's a new version. I see. Okay, so totally three are there. Got it. So 10 GB disk I am going to create now. So just click here and 10 GB space will be added. So guys, you have to keep repeating these steps whenever you have a time. Keep practice creating new disk, attaching new disk and all. Okay. And next is encryption as it is by PMK, and networking, leave it as it is public networking. And advanced, other options are same as it is, you can ignore it. Tag, if you need you can add some tag, like something data disk, value is new disk, SSD, something you can give for understanding purpose, and click create, click review and create. Okay, okay, disk is going to create now. So this is a managed disk and independent disk, which means the disk is not associated to any of the VM. Okay, so we are going to attach this independent disk to respective VM, that is comes under attach existing disk category. So already disk is there, the disk created by someone, or the disk might have attached previously attached some other VM. So I have unattached from there and I am attaching here, reattaching to this virtual machine. You can do any kind of changes. Just you have to unattach from the VM and you can attach to any VM within the respective resource group. Okay, so let's wait to create. Yeah, so the new disk is created, and in the overview itself we can see there is a no owner for this VM. You see the owner is empty, which means the disk is not attached to any of the VM. Go to overview and you can see the overview options. Whatever we discussed, the same would be here. Okay, and now I am go back to the virtual machine again, and here I am going to add that individual disk to this VM. So till now the disk is independent disk. So here I am going to add as dependency. You see the option is attach existing disk. So click on that disk. You will see the same, like it looks like same new disk creation option only, but in the drop down it will here you will not see option to type the disk, but it will give the options to no select the disk. Okay, you see the disk, data disk existing, which is which we created recently, it is showing here to attach. So just click attach the disk and click apply. And this disk we did not allocate it to any of the VM, and the disk is not at no what is a formatted, it is not a formatted disk, it is a fresh disk only. In case just assume that in this concept only, mm, let it get assigned. Meantime I will tell about other thing. This is VM1 and it have one disk, data disk, data disk 1, having some important project files or application. Okay, so you need to copy this data, or you don't want disk data, you don't want this disk to in this VM. You want to detach from this VM and you can attach to another VM. That is what we are seeing Okay, you can directly attach to this VM2. You can detach from VM1. You can attach the disk to any VM inside the same resource group. Okay, so that you can have the same details, same application informations in the same disk. And when you attach it to this VM1, the disk is already formatted. This disk is already formatted from OS level, and it has data. So when you detach from here and attaching to this this VM, you no need to format, no need to format. And the data whatever have in the existing VM, sorry, format not required, whatever data it have, it will reflect to this VM directly, and there is no format required, and data will not be erased. Because the initialization, very initially the disk initialization happen in VM1 only, which means the format and other stuff happen already. So the disk having the same property, when you attach to VM2, the properties will not be changed, and you will have the same files or details inside the disk as usual. Okay, just try to understand this also. Okay, so you see the disk 2 is attached, and again I go back to the VM, and I'll just open the configuration, sorry, disk management again, close everything, go back, and again disk management. You see the disk 3 is attached now, and it is asking for initialize and reboot, sorry, format. Just click OK. You see the disk 2 is unallocated, disk 3 is unallocated. Okay, just click here and add this volume. The you can assign the letter is F, and you can give the volume name is data disk 3. Finish it. Okay, go back and see here, you will have data disk 3 which is recently created. So here I'll just simply create one text word, testing disk attachment. Something data I have in disk 3. Okay, so disk attachment, disk addition, we done. Disk, existing disk also we have done. So now I will try to reattach, I mean, just assume that I'm going to detach this disk. I think it is there, not there, disk attach, disk detach the disk. Detach means I'm removing the disk from this particular VM. That is very simple. Same in the disk option. Go to right side. You will see the options. See detach option. You can see the symbol, plug in plug out symbol. Just click detach. You see the disk is gone now, and click apply. The changes will make in the server, and immediately go to the VM and just try to refresh. You see the disk is gone now. So the VM disk is detached from respective VM. Okay, so just assume that we have uh, we have unattached the disk from VM 1. Okay, just for assumption I'm saying VM 1 we have unattached. At the same disk we are attaching to VM 2. Okay, assume that this is the VM 2 VM. So we have unattached, right, already. So just refresh and again click and attach existing disk, and thank you. Attach the same disk. Assume that you are attaching from another VM. I mean, you detached from another VM and attaching to current desired VM. So this is the disk. Selected and click apply. So let's wait to complete. Okay, disk, the attaching disk from another VM also successfully. Now go to the VM and try to refresh. You see the disk whatever gone, it came again. There is no initialization is required if the disk is already initialized by some other VM. You have got the difference, right? The first disk and then attaching existing disk to the VM without initial, because the initialization happened already in the other VM. You go to properties and here, where is that Harvard is? You can see the LUN number, LUN details of this disk also. The disk is LUN is 0. And what is the LUN is here 1? How come it is 1? Let's see. Okay. Yeah. You see the second disk, Microsoft virtual disk, the LUN number is 1. So this is the respective disk is disk LUN number. So likewise you can check it. There is one more option. I'm still searching it. Hmm. Okay, fine, guys. So you understood about disk addition, disk attaching, attach existing disk, detach existing disk, and attaching disk from one VM to another VM. So whenever you have a time, keep practicing those things, and we'll go for next disk addition. Okay. So guys, is it boring or is it interesting session? I will take 2 minutes. I will just have my coffee, continuously talking, and my voice is going off. Guys, anyone, any doubt till now? Or the points are very clear, right?
Yeah, Ram.
Okay, thank you. And just I need a confirmation from all. Please, everyone, come up and give your input on these topics. We have few more minutes to wind up call today. So before that, I will just cover up these three topics. Actually, this is yesterday topic only. That is what I have designed the document, but I couldn't complete it on the time frame. Still, we have these many topics to be covered. Azure network, and networking is a very big concept. And again, storage is also a very big concept. Um, I guess we may require one more week also. Apart from next week, we would be required additional week to complete this all the topics. So we have designed for 4 weeks, but it is taking up to one more week. I hope there won't be any issue for you guys, right? To extending one more week.
No, Ram.
Okay. Okay. Okay, guys, I'm back. Disk extension. So the scenario for disk extension, I have told already. Where is that? Yeah, extending existing disk extension VM reboot is required. Why? Because when we do changes from portal to reflect in OS level, it required reboot. Okay, that is why the reboot is required if we do extension of disk. So just go to the VM and go to the data disk, click on that, and you will get the disk properties. Go to size and performance. Here we can actually extend the disk size. So the existing disk size is 10 GB. I'm just extending up to 20 GB. Set size before. Okay, it's before. Just save. So let's wait to complete this data disk size extension. Meantime, okay, let's wait. Actually, I guess there is some new updates from Microsoft. Earlier, the size cannot be updated without power off. Now, I guess we can do. Let's see how it will work out. We'll wait and see if it is throwing error or if it is not reflecting in OS level. If it is not reflecting, then obviously we need to reboot it. So let's wait. But the standard method is to extend the disk. The power off is required must. So let's wait. Quickly come back. So do you think after extend the disk, will it be automatically updated in the existing disk? Say this disk, this 10 GB only we are extending. So do you think that the same size automatically extended? Again we have to initialize from disk management because that is the new disk part, right? It is just adding to existing disk, but we need to extend it from disk management. Otherwise, it will not extend from OS level also. Okay, I will show once it is updated. This is the challenging. You see, without power off, if you do, it is taking more than 2 minutes of time. Though they have brought new updates, but still it is not working out. So let's wait for few more minutes to complete and disk deletion. So let's wait to complete. Meantime, we'll do disk deletion. Okay. So disk deletion in the sense there are two ways to delete the disk. Okay. So we cannot directly delete the disk if the disk is uh, associated with the VM. We cannot delete the disk. So first one is disk deletion. First one, we have to detach from VM. We have to take snapshot of VM, then delete the VM. So the second way why we are taking snapshot of the VM, actually this is the way professional way that we used to follow in the project. So directly we after detach the VM directly we can't go for delete, we can go to delete option. But in case if project people come, if client coming and asking the disk again to restore, where you can find it out, you cannot, right? You will lose the data. So that is why to safer side we need to take one snapshot and keep it in Azure managed storages, then we have to delete it. So this is the professional way to detach the disk from VM and delete the VM. Okay, so see, puff, my god, still it is taking updating disk. It's taking longer than expected time. It's because of the standard procedure we did not follow. Okay, so first we'll go for disk deletion. Okay, so go to VM disk. So by this time if this is completed it would be helpful, but okay, finally the disk is updated. Go to overview. Okay, the 20 GB of disk is updated in the portal level, and let me see from OS level. So what I will do, I will open disk management. Okay, so the new concept, I mean, without powering off, it is working out. You see, the 10 GB of disk is already added, and new 10 GB size is added, but it is unallocated state. So the size is extended from portal level, but it is not extended in the OS level. At the same time, it is reflecting. So what we have to do, we need to add this unallocated space to this respective disk. Okay, so for this what you do, click on unallocated, just right click. Sorry, if you go with this way, this 10 GB will create another disk inside the OS. So don't click on the disk. Okay, just click on the existing disk. Here go to extend volume, click here, it will automatically detect the newly allocated space here. So just click next, and you see there are some spaces, 10 GB spaces are newly added here. So select that one, click next, and finish it. It will take some moment and it will add the space whatever we added 10 GB, that will be added. And you see the disk space is now 20 GB, 19.98 GB space is showing. Go here, just do refresh, and the disk size is changed to 20 GB. See, this is the way you have to extend the disk. Okay, and earlier when we do extend the disk, the VM must be power off and extend it, that is the standard way. But they have brought new way, and you might have noticed for updating disk it has taken more than 5 minutes of time. But if you do professional way, I mean standard way, within a minute the disk size would be upgraded, I mean extended. Okay, so now again go back to the VM, just do refresh in the VM disk, and the desired space 20 GB added. Now uh, okay, so fine, so this you understood, right? Disk extension. Now we have extended the disk only data disk. Same time we can extend the disk size in OS disk also. You see the OS disk is 128 GB. The OS level you see it is one. See why I am saying 1 GB less means that is the standard way. Okay, here it is showing 126 GB. The sum of the spaces are allocated for fatal memory. Okay, that's why it is showing as 126 GB. In the portal level it will show 127, but the actual size of the disk is 128 GB. Okay, that series only, but technically it will show 127, but actual size is 128 GB only. Okay, now I will go to extend this OS disk also. Same OS disk, click on the disk and go to size and performance, and here you see the disk class is 128 GB selected, but the actual size is, the technical size is 127 only. The 1 GB goes for some backend fatal storages. Okay, so I need to extend the disk from 128 to 200 GB. Okay, so I have selected 200 GB, and the 200 GB cost would be taking from 256 GB only, because that is the next to 128. Okay, and select the performance tier for the disk, and here is the actual picture. You see the save option is disabled. Save option is actually disabled. Why? Because the VM is running state, we need to power off the VM. So the data disk we extended without powering off, but the OS disk extension is VM must be powered off. Earlier the data disk also we need to power off. To extend the data disk also we need to power off and extend, but after some update, I think this is the recent update from Microsoft, but OS disk update, the VM must be power off. You see save option is disabled. So I'll just quickly go back and power off the VM, stop the VM. See, the preferable way is powering off, because when we power off the VM, there is no work, there is no background running process or anything in the VM. It is in the ideal state. So whatever changes we do, it will reflect the VM immediately. But if the VM is running state, there will be a lot of you know uh, uh, traffic would be there in the process, so which will impact the activities. So best practice is powering off and go for upgrades. That is why I suggested for VM size upgrade also we have to power off and upgrade the size. Okay, so the VM is successfully powered off now. Again, go back to disk, go to OS disk, go to size and performance. Here, this is the default sizes given by Microsoft, but we can do custom size. So 127 GB is there, I'm just making as 200 GB. Performance tier is P15. For 200 GB means you can refer 256 GB. Performance tier is P15. 1100 IOPS and 125 Mbps speed. Now you see the logic save option is enabled. Earlier it was grayed out. Now you see it is enabled. So just click on save. It will update the size. Now you see the difference. Within 10 seconds the size is changed. But when the VM was running state, you remember, right, how long it take? It took roughly 5 minutes of time to update. But that is the difference when we do offline and online. You see within a 10 second the disk is updated. Now go back to the VM, power on. Now the same procedure again we have to extend from OS level. Okay, this is the actual task that you do in project. That is why again I'm repeating, I am again repeating, and I am explaining each and every topics very slowly. Once you thorough these points, you can ready to work from next day of course completion. No one will teach these all the OS related stuff. Even if you take course from online also, they will not tell extending OS or extending disk from OS level and all, because the OS level, that is separate course, that is system administrator course or server administrator, that is a different platform. As a Windows administrator, I am explaining the combination of Azure IaaS plus Windows admin. Why? Because Windows and Azure is the, you know it's a good combination, and there are lot of openings for this combination. That is why I chose Windows plus Azure. Even I knew Linux as well, but the first preferable is Windows plus Azure. As a beginner, you have to choose this way only, because if you go Linux, again you have to struggle and capture all the things, and it will again take time taking process. So that's why first choice is this one. So VM is started. Let's wait to leave this error. Status is not ready. Go to board diagnostics and check the status. Okay, I guess the server is came up. See, the error is gone. Again, I am going to take RDP 168,200. So what are the topic left? Disk extensions we have covered. Disk deletion we'll discuss it now. And disk swap if any issues comes. Okay. So is it fine if I'll take next 5-10 minutes time? I guess it won't be a problem, right? At least I will just cover one more topic today. Okay, so we have extended the disk OS disk from portal level, and here we are going to extend from OS level. Go to disk management, just make it big screen, and see there is a 126 GB already allocated for OS drive, but the new drive 73 GB is unallocated state. Okay, so as I said, right, some 1 GB space will not be visible. Even if you see in the my PC, it will show 126 GB, but in the portal level it is show 127 GB. In the portal you see the disk is come on, 127 GB. And go to disk management, you see some of the spaces for fatal memory and fatal storages. You see healthy for booting purpose and some other purpose. Okay, now I am just going to extend my actual OS disk. Just right click, go to extend volume, click next. You see the 7471751, which means 73 GB are added to newly. Just click next, finish it, and you see 199 GB got created. Go back to my PC and just do refresh. You see the newly added space is reflecting. The disk is successfully extended for OS disk. Okay, so we have discussed disk part thoroughly. The left out part is disk deletion. So I'll quickly show about disk deletion. So for the disk deletion, first one we have to detach from the VM. Why? Because I will show that also lively. Just go to disks in global search. Go to disks. I am deleting the disk one. So I will delete directly without detaching. and you see the option is delete option is grayed out. The reason is the disk state is showing as attached, and where it is attached managed by VM1. That is why the delete option is grayed out. Until unless you are detached from VM, you cannot delete directly. Okay, so go to VM, go to disk. So how to detach the disk? It's very simple. See in the disk list, go to dead end right. There is a symbol called detach symbol. Click detach and save save the changes. And just remember, whatever changes that you do in the server level, sorry, in the portal level, everything will be saved in activity logs. All the changes, everything updated in the activity logs. Okay, so changes are updated. Go to activity logs and try to update. You will get the changes. Okay, retry, start relations, retry board diagnostics. I guess it will take some time. Fine. Okay, so now again go back to the disk. In the global search, go to disks option, data disk one, which we unattached. Now you see the delete option is visible now, and the disk status is unattached. You see managed by none. So the disk is unattached from the VM, and now we can go ahead and delete the disk. Just click on delete and it will ask you to confirm the disk. So what is the best practice to delete the VM? First one, detached disk from VM successfully. Second thing, take this snapshot of the disk. Sorry, you have to take snapshot of disk. Why? Because if any situation comes to restore the disk, then at that time we need a backup. Okay, snapshot in the sense it is a format. I mean, it's one of the formats. Snapshot means something .snp format where our disk are taken as snapshot, captured and kept it as a backup. So click on snapshot. Here you can see click snapshot option. So just give the snapshot name something data disk one underscore backup. So snapshot type is full only and other stuffs are default. Click review and create it. So the snapshot is taking from the disk. So what is the process of snapshot means? It is capturing everything in the disk, and uh, there is no incremental thing. This is complete capture, one time capture. Life, or how to say, for example, the time is 6:12 now. So whatever we initiate the snapshot, it will capture this time only, one time capture only. So whatever we worked till before this time, everything are captured up to 6:12 only. And beyond the 6:12, now see it is 6:13, yet the data will not be there. Whatever The last time when we click on snapshot, it will be captured all the data. So snapshot is completed. Now go back to my disk. I will just delete the disk now. Directly click on the disk, delete it. That's it. So the disk will go off from our Azure portal, and the space will be recovered by Microsoft in the backend. See, successfully deleted, and just do refresh. The disk will go off. It's not. It's not refreshing still. It's taking quite time. And in the OS level also, you see the disk is gone now. Okay, so after refreshing, you see there is no disk. We have deleted the disk successfully. So just make a note of the point of deleting the procedure. Okay, fine. Okay, disk. Now I'll quickly complete one more point. Is it fine, guys? I'll just quickly complete the one more point because we taken a snapshot already. So okay, so create a disk from snapshot. Now again the scenario came. The client came. I need the data disk one. Just what we deleted recently. The client asking I need the data disk one immediately. So what we'll do? We have a snapshot already. So the best practice is we need to restore the disk from the respective snapshot. Okay, so for that, again go to global search, search snapshot. Now we need to find out where is our snapshot. So in the global search, just a type snapshot, and you see this is our full snapshot which we taken. I need to restore the disk immediate. That is the immediate requirement. Okay, this is the main advantages that we take in snapshot. If any accidental issues comes in this kind of scenario, that this is the main reason that we are taking snapshot. Okay, fine. Now this is the snapshot file, and I need to create a disk from this snapshot. Okay, which means I'm restoring the disk. Okay, just click create a disk. Guys, try to understand, and don't confuse. This is very simple only. If any doubt later also you can come and ask. So give the disk data disk one zone. There is no zone, so same size will be there here. If you want, you can change the size also from the snapshot, but that it is taking 32 GB of size while restoring. Okay, that is fine, but actual disk size was 20 GB. If you need the same size, you can give the same 20 GB, but by default it is taking 32 GB class, so fine, no problem. So just click on review. So let's wait to create the disk from snapshot. It's in progress. So everyone understood, right? What is the what I am doing now? Create a disk from snapshot. See, we extend the disk, we deleted the disk. So how we are restoring from the deleted disk? So deleted disk we have taken snapshot. From the snapshot we are creating the disk again, and again we are attaching the disk to VM. Okay, you see the disk data disk 1 again we created from snapshot and it is not associated. We are going to associate to the virtual machine. So go to VM1, go to disks, attaching existing disk, click here, choose the data disk which is recently restored from snapshot, click apply. So come back to the VM and see the new disk is created. I mean the new disk whatever we created before, it came actually, and you see the file also there. New folder I created, the file also there. There is no data loss in the snapshot method, but you may get now one confusion. Here it is showing 20 GB, but in the portal when we restore from the disk, sorry, from the snapshot, we gave 32 GB of size. So that is why in the portal level it is showing 32 GB, and in the OS level the original disk size is 20 GB. That is what the snapshot captured before deletion. Okay, now again if we go disk management, you see the 12 GB space is unallocated. So you can add the disk, you can attach the 12 GB. Just go to extend, can add the 12 GB space in the disk. So the disk will be changed to 32 GB. See, 32 GB. Got it? So this is how we need to recreate the disk from the snapshot. For safer side, we have taken snapshot. If the requirement comes again, that client is asking to restore the disk immediately, then the procedure what I said, we need to follow the procedure and create the disk and attach the disk to the VM. See, it is attached. Fine, guys. So I am done for today. One more topic is there. It is fine. We'll discuss it in next class. So let's take 2-3 minutes of time and discuss if any doubts, clarifications are required.